Hello everybody, my name is KingStix and welcome back to another brand new video. Today I want to talk about should you play Ezreal Support. Ezreal is a really interesting support champion. He has really high damage, long range, which makes him fairly safe in the laning phase. And he also has a really high burst. One thing I really like about Ezreal is he counters dash champions really hard. Things like Rakan, he just absolutely brutalizes. He also crushes hook champions like Thresh Blitzcrank because they can absolutely not hook you no matter what, as long as you know how to use your E, because even if they land it, if you press E, you can get out of it. So overall, I think if you pick Ezreal against hook champions or dash champions, he is a very solid pick since he can be very slippery. One thing I will say about Ezreal is you need to decide whether you're going to go AP or AD. The determining factor of whether you go AP or AD is your team comp. If your team's damage is mostly AD, you should probably go AP Ezreal Support. And if your team is mostly AP, you should probably go AD Ezreal Support. If you go AP or AD Ezreal Support, we'll start with the same items. You're going to want to take Spell Thief's Edge and also the refillable potion. It's going to give you a lot of sustain in the lane and you can continuously use it. You shouldn't take too much damage overall since you have so much long range. And the Spell Thief's is going to give you the most damage and the most gold for what you're going to be doing. I will say that AD Ezreal Support is slightly stronger in the early game, especially before you are level 6. But AP Ezreal is typically more useful after you are level 6 because you have more bursting capability. The reason why I believe AD Ezreal is stronger pre-6, because Ezreal's Q does scale 125% with your total attack damage, which is really huge. For your masteries on Ezreal, it can be very tempting to take Deathfire's Touch because, oh, I have all these spells, I can constantly apply the burn effect. It doesn't work that way though because Ezreal's Q applies on-hit effects, not spell effects. So unfortunately, Ezreal's Q doesn't apply the Deathfire's Touch, which makes it not very good to get because then pretty much you're only going to be using your W to apply it, which isn't going to be that much damage. You're better off going for Thunderlords. This is the best page, in my opinion, you can run on Ezreal Support right here. Most important thing is taking Thunderlords for that extra burst. If you do play AD Ezreal, you just build normal AD Ezreal items like Trinity, Force, and Tier. I'm not going to go too much into that, but for AP Ezreal, it can be really nice to get your Tier into your level 2 support item. You don't have to get Tier if you build Lichbane before you build Ludens, because Lichbane will give you enough mana to poke throughout lane phase. But what I will say is having Tier can be very nice in lane. I wouldn't recommend it if the enemy support is ranged and can do a lot of damage to you. In that case, you're going to want to get Lichbane or Luden's Echo first. After you have your Ludens and your Lichbane, I really like to go for some magic penetration. So you typically Void Staff and that should be enough magic penetration. You can build Sightstone if you want to. Typically, I end up not building it. But if you feel like being a good support, you can just upgrade your support item into the Sightstone, which is totally fine. It will help your team out, but bear in mind it'll affect your damage output quite a bit, especially in the early game. For your ability order on Ezreal, it's very simple. Start Q level 1. At level 2, I like to take Arcane Shift against dash champions. If the enemy is a tanky champion that doesn't have any mobility, I'll start take W, but in general, getting your E level 2 is the safest, then W level 3. Typically, you want to max your W first on Ezreal. It gives you the most damage by far out of any spell, especially for AP Ezreal. After that, you are going to want to max your E second because it gets more damage per level up than your Q does. And of course, you want to take points in your ultimate whenever you can. For your runes on AP Ezreal Support, I highly suggest you taking 3 ability power quints, 9 flat magic pen reds, 9 flat armor yellows, and 9 scaling AP blues. If the enemy support can't really poke you or attack you at all, consider taking scaling health per level yellows because overall it will scale better than flat armor yellows. On AD Ezreal Support, just take attack damage quints, attack damage reds, armor yellows, or scaling HP yellows. And then for your blues, you can choose taking magic resist, or if you really want to do extra damage in the early game, you can go ahead and take flat AP or scaling AP blues. If you're taking the right runes and masteries, level order, and items, I think you'll find that Ezreal Support can be a lot of fun, especially if you're doing AP Ezreal Support, because your burst is very surprising and you can catch a lot of enemies off guard with it. You're also very mobile, so whenever someone's low on HP, you can usually finish them off and it looks flash sexy and everyone's going to love you for it. Ezreal is a poker, so before teamfights actually happen, try to get off as much poke damage as possible. Whenever you go in, try to make sure your E is up, so if they do get onto you, you can easily get away. Here, Kalista ults me out even though my E was up, so it was a little unnecessary. Launch my W, get a double hit Q. My E is up right now, I don't want to use it yet. Jarvan is now going in, so I'm going to E in, W, Q, and we get a kill on Rammus. I'm going to keep auto-attacking the whole time, getting off lots of damage. They're low here. I'm just going to flank behind them. I'm going to Q onto Rakan, Eing as well. The E put me in a bad situation. I should have Q'd and hoped he wasn't looking, but Gragas ended up killing me because I did that. Especially once you have your Sheen, if an enemy is below a quarter health, just E in, immediately W, then Q. It's most important to E, then W, because your W travels slower and you want to use it typically as close as possible to the enemy. So E in, W, then Q, and try to get off an auto attack as well. Tanks are really easy to kite since you're ranged, so just keep attacking them, use your exhaust, auto attack W, Q. Try to use your W when they're as close as possible, that was easier to land. Use for opportunities to get kills with your ultimate in the mid and late game whenever enemies are low, especially if you go AP, it will do a lot of damage. Aim it where you think they're going, not where they are typically, and that's the best way to do it. Here they're getting pretty low, I'm low on health as well, just keep backing up, attacking, staying in the back line. And then she gets really low on health. I'm going to walk over here and I figure she's going to move in a weird path. I shoot over there towards Morgana and hope it gets Tristana and I pick up a double kill. A little lucky, but also a little bit of skill. Whenever you're playing against melee tank supports, like for example, in this case it was a Sejuani, which is a little unusual. We poked them down so much in lane that we could easily pick up kills under turret. With Ezreal, like I said, you brutalize melee so hard that you can really poke them down in lane and they can't do much. Use bushes to your advantage. They're really useful since you have the most range, because whenever you're in a bush, it's hard for them to dodge skill shots. It'll also force them to lay their trinket ward in your bush. That way they can't ward against your jungler. This will force them to ward the bush, and then you can leave the bush if you want to or just stay in it. It's up to you. Once again, kiting melee is amazing on Ezreal, so if it's a jungler, in this case Nocturne, I just keep backing up, autoing him, and there's not much he can do. Since you are squishy, it's important that you don't actually get caught. So here I keep backing up, not trying to stay out of range of them. Shyvana thinks she can fight me. I still have my E up. I'm just going to keep hitting her with my spells whenever they're up. Auto-attacking in between. E away when she gets into melee range. Do my best to stay on her. I threw out my W way too soon. We still do get the kill. Exhaust, Q, land it. Your W, since it does travel slow, you can time it whenever they're getting out of GA, W, Q, and I do pick up the kill. I shouldn't have walked forward. I didn't realize I was going to do that much damage, though. It's time to wrap up this video. Should you play Ezreal Support? In my opinion, in general, in ranked, you shouldn't play him because there are better mages. Like, Brand Support will be overall more useful than Ezreal in a team fight. However, if you are playing a normal game, Ezreal Support is a lot of fun. Also, in ranked, if your team is mostly AD, you can usually get away with going AP Ezreal Support, and it's quite effective. Thank you guys for sticking with me to the end. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and maybe even learned something. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. My name is KingStix. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next video.
Yeah.